Now, we're going to walk you through over-the-air firmware update for your 22 IDEX V3. The first step you want to do is go to our wiki, select V3, scroll down, and you will see firmware update. Right away, you will notice automatic firmware update, and you have changelog, which we can open and see what did we change in the latest release. It was quite a bit of changes, and you can see two versions. You have a V3, which was received before November of 2024 and after November 2024. The reason we have few versions is we're using different Z motors, so they require different current and the end stops are positioned slightly different. So it is important to select a correct version of firmware for your machine in order not to damage your machine. I am selecting the firmware for V3 received after November of 2024, and downloading starts right away. Now I go to the web interface and select machine specific tab. That's where I can verify my firmware version and install update. Now I am selecting the file for update that you downloaded, which is V3 new in our case, and clicking open. Machine is starting to decompress the file and uploading each file one by one to the microcontroller. Firmware decompressed the zip file, and you can see that files are uploading to the SD card. After files finish uploading to the SD card, you now get a notification to update the firmware for mainboard, expansion board, and optionally for Wi-Fi module. Now I'll click yes. The machine will restart, and after about a minute, it will power back on and you will be able to reconnect. Files that we are uploading to the SD card consist of two groups. First, firmware for the microcontroller, and second, your configuration files and macros. So after the firmware update is done, after files are complete updating to the SD card, we are actually writing the files to the microcontroller. As you can see, machine just restarted and I re-established the network connection. Now we can go to machine specific tab and verify the firmware version. And there is one final very important step. After firmware is updated, machine restarted, and you reconnected back, you want to delete all the old files. To do that, you want to go to dashboard, macros, settings, firmware, and here you have delete old files. And now you're good to go. As well, we added an option to check for firmware updates. If I click that, you'll see a pop-up that your 22 IDEX V3 is running on firmware 2.0. You can see release date and you can check for firmware updates. You'll see release notes and you see that V2 is the last firmware version we have available.